Okay, now in the bottom of your first or your top bucket, your grow bucket, you're going to need something, because I'm going to use perlite this time, and you're going to need something to keep the perlite. It's much finer, as you can see there. This is just an inert, popped volcanic rock, and that could plug the holes I've got in the bottom, which wouldn't be good. And you need something to kind of keep it from doing that. You could use gravel. You could use anything you want. Now this stuff is called Hydroton, and that's what I use, and I really like it. But for this on the cheap project, I got perlite, and I'm just using a little of the Hydroton. It's much more expensive. But this stuff, if you go get it at your hydroponics store, lasts forever. You never have to replace it. At the end of every year, you just rinse it out with a weak bleach water solution, let it dry, rinse it out again in the spring, and use it over and over and over. It's just an inert clay, expanded clay pellet. So, you need to put something in the bottom, gravel, pea gravel, anything that's clean and inert will work. In this case, since I had the Hydroton, I decided to use it. I'm going to go ahead and fill it up with perlite and put my drip system on, and I'll be back. Okay, there you have it. As you can see, dripping along happily. That's all it needs. That water is going to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I will cover the top of this with tin foil like my rest of my hydroponics are done. It'll keep all that moisture in there. As you can see just from that dripping is perlite, which is real fluffy, will now stick together from just the moisture that's coming out of those drips. The water's all full of nutrient. As you can see, we're happily dripping all the way around this thing. Here's what's going in it. I let this, which is just a sucker off of one of my tomato plants, I let it grow and get a little bigger. I usually pull them off and they're real little. No roots on this guy yet. I just had it in water for the last couple days with some nutrient in there. And I'm going to plant this in. I made this for a friend of mine. So I'm going to plant this in. We're going to leave it a couple of weeks, come back and see how it's doing, if it lived or died. And then I'm going to go ahead and give this to the guy I made it for. Anyway, there you have it. A simple hydroponic system. You can use anything you want for grow medium. You could use pea gravel. You'd use, of course, my favorites, Hydroton, the expanded clay pellets. This is perlite, which is just like popped volcanic rock. Anything that's inert, and we'll let the water drain through freely and the air come down through freely, will work. And this whole setup cost me about under $20 to put together. The advantages, well, these cucumber plants all the way up to the ceiling, if you can see up there beyond the glare of the light, 8.5 feet tall. The plants, it has been 7 weeks since the first 2 leaves came above the soil. We've got cucumbers growing everywhere in here, more back in there, more there. We've got tomato plants 7 weeks old that are a foot away from 8 feet tall. We've got tomatoes growing on them everywhere. Fruit branches, tomato branches everywhere. These little guys that last week were so small have grown about 2.5 feet in 2 weeks, as you can see by the color of the leaves. My problem I had 2 weeks ago with phosphorus deficiency's all gone. Leaves are all healed up, looking good. Tomatoes growing. That's the advantage. The advantage is no herbicides, no pesticides, way less water, no water evaporation, no water running down and watering your weeds and the things you don't want to grow. 100% totally organic, and this stuff for 15 bucks I got enough to fill 10 buckets, and you can use it year after year after year. Down here on the bottom where you see that elbow coming out hooked to my sight gauge. If you wanted to run these in series, one air pump would probably, this air pump I have would probably run 5 to 8 buckets, and you just put a T in there and run the hose from bucket to bucket to bucket, and then you'd build a reservoir, and from the last T run it into the reservoir, fill just the reservoir up with water. Gravity would keep it level in the bottom of all the buckets, and for next to no money you can grow hydroponically. Anyway, there it is. I promised a couple people I'd do this, and here it is, a hydroponic system on the cheap. Thanks for watching.